Hey folks, welcome back. This is Joel, and in this series we have been talking about Silver Peak's SD-WAN solution. Right, so we've done quite a lot of videos in this series across various functionalities of Silver Peak SDN. But in this video we'll talk about security and specifically the zone-based firewalling. Okay, so this is the topology which we have been using, for some time now, right? Which is, I think we are very well versed with the topology, right? But just to understand what is your zone-based firewall, right? Pretty straightforward, to be honest. What we do is think of this as edge connector plans, right? You're going to have LAN side, you're going to have WAN side, correct? Now what you can do is, you can create zones, right? You can create zones out of any of the interfaces. You can create, say, zone A, zone B here. And once you create the zone, what you can do is obviously you can define policies. Do you want zone A to talk to zone B, right? You can define that. Do you want zone A to talk to zone B only via FTP, right? And deny everything else? You can do that, right? So all of these cool functionalities can be done. The other thing is, other important use cases, you might have another appliance over here, correct? Now it will have its own LAN, its own WAN, right? Now what you can do is, either you can use the similar zones if you want, but if you want to actually filter, right, then what you can do is you can define a different zone, maybe zone C, zone D. Now what this really brings to the table is I can now put a firewalling policy between A and C. That's pretty cool, right? I can say now allow A to talk to C, or allow FTP to be allowed between A and C, allow TFTP to be communicated between A and C, but deny everything else, right? Now this is very powerful. And also because all of this is happening, you see, and I talked about this is a LAN, right? We're talking about LAN, so two different LANs which are behind two different WAN networks, right? We're able to enforce policies using this firewall, right? Further, this firewall is a stateful firewall, right? Stateful firewall basically means if A to B we are allowing FTP to kind of work, B to A the return traffic will be allowed as well, because the stateful firewall remembers the sessions and it allows the return traffic to flow through, right? So this is the concept of zone based firewall which we are going to explore. So yeah, let's get to it, right? So step number one would be to actually create what we call as zones, right? So we have to go to configurations and go to security, right? And you have something called as firewall zones. Okay, I think I've selected only one of the sites, so let me just close once again, select all the appliance, or maybe unselect everything, go back, click on firewall zones. All right, so once we have gone to the zone, let's create zones here, right? So we will create zones based on the exact same site names we have. Let's create for London. Perfect. I think we have to hit the save button, right? Okay, that just ran away. Let's try to do once again. Let's add the second one, which is going to be Paris. Let's add one more, which is Berlin. And there is going to be one more, which is for the WAN side, right? So for the WAN side, we can create one more zone. We'll call it internet. Perfect. Now let's hit the save button. So these are some of the zones which we just now created. We can go back and verify. So these are the zones which we have created. Perfect. Next, we need to create the security policies. So for that, we'll have to go to the templates. So configuration, let's go to templates. Right, so we are here, right? Remember, these are the templates which we configured at the start of the series. We'll click on show all, and there should be something here for security as well. Right, so let's scroll down. See, here you have security policies, drag and drop it here, right? Now open the security policies. What do you see? Boom, you see some kind of a map appearing here, correct? So by this, first thing you can understand is traffic within the same zone is automatically allowed. You can see here London to London, the box is green, right? Paris to Paris, Berlin to Berlin, internet to internet. So within the within the same zone, traffic is allowed by default, right? Whereas between the zones, you can see traffic is denied. Perfect. That's a basic fundamental understanding here. All right, so that being said, so this is where we configure. What I'll do is let's actually you create a separate template group only for security policies, right? So I'm going to, I think I can just drag and drop these guys. So the ones which I don't want, which means this is the default template group, right? Which is already configured as part of default template group. So I'm just going to get rid of all of this because I don't want them. So I just want the, security policies, right? So I'm going to hit the save as button, and here we can probably save this as ZBF, zone based firewall policies. Cool. So there you go. So we created a new template group and just kept only the security policies inside it. All right. So here are some very simple policies which I have written down here, which we'll try to configure now, right? But just to explain to you, what we're trying to do here is, for the very first policy, it's basically Berlin users, right? So the Berlin users who are here in this LAN, they should not be, you see the cross mark, that basically means that they should not be able to connect to FTP externally. So you see we have a internet host here, right? So it is also running, FTP, TFTP. So ideally the users from Berlin, right, they should not be able to reach out to, they should not be able to connect to any host on the internet which has FTP, right? Whereas we should allow all the other types of traffic, which could be HTTPS, SSH, and telnet, whatever. The second use case is for the reverse, right, which is the internet users, traffic from the internet. What we should allow is, we should allow internet users to connect to FTP, which is running on this switch 3, right? So from internet, traffic coming in, we should allow FTP here, but from internet we should not allow traffic anywhere else. So that's why you see a cross mark. From internet, rest everything should be blocked. Only from internet to FTP on the switch 3 should be allowed. Okay. Similarly, the third use case is, what we'll do is, for all the 3 sites, London, Paris and Berlin, what we'll do is, we'll allow connectivity to only one host, which is 11.1.111 on the internet. Rest everything we are going to deny, right? So those are the 3 use cases which we are trying to configure here. Okay. So let's start with the first one, which is Berlin users should not allow FTP externally, and we should allow, we should basically not allow FTP on the internet, but we should allow rest of the internet traffic, right? So let's do that. Let's come to our screen here. Okay, so this is pretty straightforward, right? You can see there is Berlin here. So Berlin is the from, whereas internet is the to, right, for this particular rule. So we can go to this section, we can say add rule, right? As soon as you add rule, there are 2 rules which are created by default. One is 1000 rule and other one is the 65535. Perfect. So let's click on this pencil icon here. And remember, we should deny, we should deny FTP but allow everything else, right? Or is it the reverse? Let me check. I think it was deny FTP, correct? We should deny FTP and allow everything else. So here you can see there is an option called application. So we can select FTP here. Perfect. So here you can select FTP of this sort, because we can do application based filtering as well. Okay, so we have selected FTP and we are going to hit the save button here. And here you see there is an option called allow. We are going to change it to deny, because that's what we want to deny. Okay, whereas the second one, you see match everything else, we want technically to allow this, right? So there you go. So allow this. Did it change? Okay, deny and allow, right? So I'm gonna hit the OK button here. Right, so you see now the changes have gone in. Berlin to internet, deny FTP and allow everything else. The second requirement, what was it? I forgot. Second requirement is internet user should be able to talk to the switch 3's FTP but nothing else, right? So which okay, so the internet user talking to switch 3, which is in Berlin, right? So it should be this box. Gonna add a rule here, right? So this time again we are going to change this to FTP. Change this to FTP, right? And select FTP, hit the save button. But this time, my bad, just instead of just FTP, right, we also need to because we need to change this to FTP. There's FTP over here, and we also need this is not just FTP, right? We should allow FTP to switch 3's IP, correct? So we'll have to do this using an ACL of sort. Wait, not ACL, my bad. So we'll have to do this using more options, and in the more options, right, we have selected application to FTP. There should be something called as IP subnet, right? So I'm gonna check this, and you see there is an option to mention the source and destination. The source is going to be any, because the traffic is coming from the internet. The destination is going to be 10.99. What is switch 3's IP? If you look at my topology, it is 10.100.3.1. So I'm going to use that. Right, 3.1. Perfect. We'll have to use a /32 subnet here, so because it's the IP address, right? So yeah, I think that takes care of things. From any to this, we have matched exactly. I'm going to come here. So are we allowing this? I think yes, we are allowing to this, but rest everything we are going to deny. Perfect. So I'm going to hit the save button here. So you can see we have achieved what we wanted with these two rules, right? So our first use case is done, which is this. These two rules are taken care. Now the last use case is from all sites we need to allow 11.1.111, but rest we have to deny. So let's get rid of that. Okay, so from rest all the sites, which is say London, Paris and Berlin. So London to internet, so this guy, right, let's come there. So we'll click this one, right? We are trying to match this guy, and over here we'll go to more options. We are not checking application here because we want all the traffic, but all we want to do is IP subnet, right? Now IP subnet source and destination will be selected. Any two, we want 11.1.1.11, correct? I'm gonna put /32, hit the save button. So destination to this one we are allowing, rest everything is going to be denied. Perfect, hit the save button. Let's also do the same thing for Paris. So I'm gonna go to Paris, add rule, change this. Let's go to more options, IP subnet, select any 11.1.1.11 /32, save, right? This is allowed, this is deny. Perfect, so these both are done. Now the last one is from Berlin to internet, right? Berlin to internet, we don't have to change anything because we already have a policy which we created, which is kind of agreeing to what we are doing, right? So from Berlin to internet we are denying FTP, but we are allowing everything else. So I think that should already take care of things, right? So since we already have a policy over there, I think we should be good, because I mean we have a more specific policy over there, right? We have to deny FTP as part of the first requirement, right? We had to deny FTP and we had to allow everything else. So we will keep that policy intact, we'll not edit it. Okay, so once all the changes what you have, I mean technically you can do more changes to experiment with it, but in our case, I'm just going to this is all good, so I'm going to hit the save button here. Right now you see no appliances it is applying because we have not applied this policy to anyone. So I'm going to hit the save template changes. Now as you see, just having the template ready is of no use, right? You need to apply this template groups. I'm going to click on the apply template groups, and this is what you're going to get, right? Which is our template. This is the one, right? So you can see once I select this, it is trying to add this particular template group to all the sites, right? So all the sites in the sense all SP1, SP2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. So I think we should be good. I'm going to go and hit the apply button. Can we service? Okay, that's fine. Apply templates. Let's look at the status of the orchestration. Let's wait. As you see, it's in pending state. Let's wait for this to complete. Alright, so the orchestration has gone in, which means, are we good to try this out? Let's go back to our templates and let's double confirm, right? For us to try, we can technically try what? You know, let's go on to London, right? And ideally, only London should be able to talk to London, right? So what we'll do is we'll try to talk between London and Paris right now. As you see here, everything should be denied, correct? So let's see if that is happening. So let's go to London. So this is my London PC. So I'm going to open, I can do FTP, TFTP, anything, because we have technically denied everything, right, between London and Paris. So I'm going to go to TFTP client. Let's put the IP address of 1099.20.11 of my Paris PC. Port should be 69. The local 4, so I'm doing TFTP here, right? So that's 69. So I'm going to select the file and I'm going to send some file, right? And as you see, the file is actually going. You can see some block values here, right? If you want to validate, we can go to the Paris PC and you can see here on the other side, it is actually receiving the packet. You can see the blue marker, which means it is actually receiving the data. So basically that means what? Our policy have not been actually applied, right? And I'll tell you why that's the reason, right? So let's try to break this. Let's come here, right? So we have created all of this, but remember there's one important thing which we have not done, which is we have not applied those labels, right? These labels, the one which we created at the start of the video, the zones basically, we have not applied them on the actual interfaces, right? So we need to apply them. So what we'll do is we'll come to say sp-wan, right click, go to deployment. Okay, so here, right, we have something called as firewall zone. Okay, so we have to select. So what we can do is for the first one, we can use London here, right, on the LAN side, and on the WAN side there should be firewall zone. We are going to use internet. For all the three, let's use internet for now, right? All the WANs we're using internet. So hit the save button. Got to do the same thing for the 2 as well. So let's go click on this thing, hit the deployment button. Go back here, change this to Paris. This is Paris. The firewall here would be internet, and internet. Hit the save button. Okay, let's wait for that. And for the last site, we'll have to again do this separately, which is go to deployment, change it to, when you get the drift, right? Pretty simple. So I'm going to change this to Berlin, change this to internet, change this to internet, hit the save. While that's happening, you might have a question, right? How are all these policies getting enforced? So the inner working of this is very interesting, right? What really happens in the background is that when the traffic is actually going, right, or the IPsec tunnels or the IPsec UDP tunnels, the firewall zone information is actually carried. The source firewall zone is carried in the UDP tunnel, so that at the destination, what will happen is the destination zone there'll be a lookup happening, right? And once you know the destination zone, the policies will be applied, right? So that's how, because you might have a question, how is the device able to determine, how is the device able to do the enforcement, right? So similar to how VXLAN and things work, right? In the VXLAN world, in the overlay world also, you kind of send those policies, right, in as part of the VXLAN header. So here as well something similar happens. Okay, so let's select that and close this. So that kind of finishes up putting the labels, right? So now that we have put the label, Ideally, if things are all fine, right? So ideally, because we have put the labels now, this time the connectivity between London and Paris, right, should not work. So let's try this again. Let's come back here. Let's try to hit the put here this time. You see, it's just block 0, right? It's not increasing, correct? Let's come back here as well. You see, you don't see any request coming in because the traffic is getting dropped. I don't know if we could probably see this in our active and recent flows. Let's check if that's possible. Right, so if you see here, there you go, right? You can see the TFTP traffic, it's showing red in color, and you can see here, if you go to details, right, so you can see the traffic, it should show somewhere the file sharing, that's all fine, but you see here implicit policy, it's getting denied, action is getting denied, London to Paris is getting denied, implicit deny. Perfect. So that's how simple the security policy is, right? That's how simple it is to implement the security policy. Okay, the one last thing which I also want to cover here is you know that these appliances also have the power of IDS and IPS, right? Threat detection mechanisms, right? IDS is just detection, IPS is it can prevent also, which is by actually dropping the packets, right? So for that you would need some special advanced licenses, right? You will have to go to, I think first you'll have to go to licenses and we'll have to enable that license. So for example, if I select SP1 here, right, and here you see for advanced security I have a license. It's in my case, like I said, I'm using educational purpose, right? So I can't really share the licenses with you guys, but this is how you can enable the license, right? Just selecting it and applying. Okay, so that will kind of apply the license. I can refresh it over here and you should see the license appearing here, right? Once you have the license, all you have to do is go to IDS detection prevention. You can see here, though I have the license, it is telling that the appliance is not eligible because there is some criteria. I believe you need certain amount of RAM, certain amount of CPUs for on the appliance for this to be eligible. In my case, I think I don't really have them because I'm running this on EVNG, right? Since I'm running this on EVNG, I don't really have those many CPUs or that much amount of memory on each of the machines, so that's why you see it's not eligible. But that being said, that's how you normally do it. And then you can go to apply IDS and here you can select whatever you want, right? Either your appliance will show up here once it is applied, but then you can say, do you want to use it as an IDS, do you want to use it as an IPS? So that can be done, right? You can also select which signatures you want to kind of use, right? So these are all the various signatures which are there, right? So these are continuously refreshed, right? So you have a lot of signatures here. You can kind of create your own, you can also update this, right? If you don't want this drop, you want it to be something else, you can update it, right? So that is important. But once you have defined what kind of signatures you want, what the next thing you have to do is you have to basically come to your security policies, because all of this again is everything is bound together by this security policy, right? So you can come to a security policy and let's say I'm going to click on this guy, right? London to Paris. Remember, when you click on add a rule over here after not the pencil icon, my bad. Let me close this. So you see in the action section you have 3 options. One is allow, deny, and then you have inspect, right? So if you select inspect, it basically means that particular type of traffic will be inspected now. So that's how you can actually use the IDS and IPS. Okay, so I will not be doing that, but you need some malware traffic and all of that to kind of even verify if it's working, right? So I'll not try to do that, but that's how you can actually use the IDS and IPS which is present on the box. All right, so that's everything I wanted to talk to you guys in this video. I'll obviously at the end of the video I'll just go clean up the whole configuration, which is I will remove the ZPF policy template and I will remove the interface and WAN labels or zones which we configured, right? So that we can keep the lab ready for the next video. But feel free to go crazy with it, go experiment a little more, right? And play around with it, right? So hope this video was useful. We just talked about security, we talked about zone-based firewall, and at the end we also looked at how can you enable IDS and IPS on the edge connect appliances. Thanks for watching this one, and do come back for more videos. Have a good one. Bye.